press with rotation is an anterior oblique sling exercise, so it's oblique across the pubic symphysis to the opposite adductor to help stabilize across that front pelvic joint. And it's also going to be a core rotational exercise, so we still want to strengthen the core throughout pregnancy and then throughout the postpartum period. With the Pallof press, we want the band to be attached around chest level, so if you're using your door frame, right around the doorknob is usually a good level to put it. So I'm going to step out till I feel resistance in the band. So there shouldn't be a ton of tension left in the band, but it shouldn't be so strong that I'm being pulled towards the point of attachment, but it shouldn't be so close that it's just like flopping right there. So I want a little bit of resistance. I want the band to have tension in it. From there, I'm going to think exhale to push my arms straight out. So I want to maintain midline with my chest. And at this point, I should really be feeling a pull towards that point of attachment. That's more than what it was down in my chest. So I'm going to exhale, push straight out. And then from here, I'm going to rotate away from the point of attachment. So exhale to rotate away, inhale, come back, and then bring the band back to my chest. So exhale, push straight out, maintain midline with my body, rotate away, and then inhale to come back in. You can also put like a Pilates ball or a pillow between your thighs if you want to add a little bit more of that adductor. So I would exhale to squeeze that ball, push out, and then rotate away. Now, if I wanted to advance this movement or I wanted to add more asymmetry to it, I could first stagger the stance. So I'm going to have my stance be a little bit more staggered. And then as I exhale, I'm going to push the band out, and then I'm going to rotate away as I drop into my lunge. So I can do this in two movements where I push the band straight out, drop into my lunge, and then rotate away, come back, stand back up, bring the band back in. So we see there's 3 different steps. So I push out, drop into my lunge, rotate away, come back, stand up, bring the band back in, or I can do it more simultaneously. So doing movements more simultaneously will require a little bit more coordination, making the movement a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to push out, rotate away, and then come back in. So push out, rotate away, come back in. So the push out is still going to be its own step. So I'm pushing out, and then these two are together as opposed to 2 separate steps. Now, another way to advance this is to add an actual lunge to it. So the feet are going to be moving. So this is a more stationary position in an asymmetrical stance, and then this is going to involve movement. So I'm going to step back, so push the band back, step back into my lunge, and rotate, and then step back. So you can see it's more simultaneous movement. Or I can add those 3 different steps again. So I'm pushing the band out. I'm going to step back into my lunge and then rotate back in, stand up, and then step back to bring the band back in, or it can be more simultaneous. So I'm pushing the band out, rotating as I step, and then bringing that band back in. So that would be a more advanced movement because it involves more movement with the legs. Now, some other variations of this that involve the asymmetry but maybe are a little bit easier would be bring it down to the floor. So I would take this, I would lower it down to more around my hip level. So if you're using your door frame, use your door anchor and bring it below the doorknob. I would come down into my half kneeling position. If you want to put something soft underneath your knee, that's available to you. And the outside leg is usually going to be my forward leg because this is the adductor that I'm trying to emphasize. So I'm going to bring that band so it's in the center of my chest. I'm going to exhale to push out and then rotate out. Inhale, come back and bring the band back in. Exhale, push out, and then rotate away. Now, if I wanted to advance this portion of the movement, I could tuck my back toe and hover that back knee. So this is going to decrease the stability. Push the band out, rotate away, come back, bring the band back in. And then I can maintain this hover as I move on to the next rep, or I can drop the knee down in between to kind of rest. If the asymmetrical stance and standing was still too advanced for me, I can do a kneeling position. So I'm going to bring both knees down to the floor. So I have my even stance, push the band straight out, and then rotate away, come back in, bring the band straight in. So everything with all of these rotations is we're pushing out, and then we have some sort of rotation, and then whether or not we involve the legs will vary depending on the advancement. So choose the variation that works best for you, either our standing variation, where we're going to push the band straight out, making sure that band is around chest level. So we can push that band straight out and then rotate away. We can do our split or staggered stance, where we're going to push the band out and then drop into our lunge, come back up, bring the band back in. We can actually step back into a lunge, which is going to add more movement. So pushing out, step back and rotate, step back, bring the band back in. And then we can bring it down to the floor if we need some more stability. So dropping that band down to about hip level, outside leg is gonna be forward, push that band out, rotate away. I can hover that back knee, and then I can bring both knees down to even the stance. So this is gonna be the regress version of the standing.